Hey everybody, I wanted to show you some things to keep in mind for photoshoot makeup. My local community is having a photoshoot meetup soon, so I wanted to offer some makeup tips for a successful photoshoot. Before you put on any makeup, we should focus on the base. First, I started with a clean face with moisturizer on, no sunscreen. I have here the Tatcha Silk Canvas and Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer. I chose these for their pore filling properties so that we can try and make our skin look as smooth as possible. For these, you want to tap them into your skin so that they can fill in your pores. If you put on any sunscreen, there's a chance that it'll flash back or add a white cast or shininess to your face, and we don't want that to affect the look of your makeup. I'm using both the Tatcha Silk Canvas and the Tarte because I'm being extra. Next, I'm doing my brows. I'm using these cheap eyebrow pencils from E.L.F, one in a lighter brown and one in a dark brown. Now, photo shoot photography has a lot of bright studio lighting, so this lighting is so strong that it washes out about a third of the color on your face. So filling in your brows is pretty important, especially if you have long brows. So next I'm taking concealer. I am using a concealer that's normally a little bit too dark for me because it's kind of orange. So I'm using a tiny bit of it to actually color correct my dark circles. And I'm patting it down with my finger and blending it out with a sponge. Now I have a couple of pimples here. Couple of red dots. I'm going to use green concealer and a tiny little brush to cover those up just to help them not be so obvious in the photos. Now for eyeshadow, I highly suggest using some sort of eyeshadow primer. I'm using Urban Decay Primer Potion. This one works really well for me and my oily eyelids. Now I'm taking an eyeshadow close to my skin tone, like a bone colored shadow, and I'm setting my eyeshadow primer, but I'm only setting around the outsides and leaving my mobile lid unsetted. First, I'm going to start with a mid-tone brown with a fluffy eyeshadow brush. I'm setting that on my crease and on the outer V, and I'm going to start making this cat eye shape that I always go for. You can go for whatever shape that you like, but the main thing is to add depth to your eyes with these colors. Adding a bit more color so that it's more vibrant. And I'm going back to that skin tone shade very lightly over the edge so I can blend out this brown color. And I'm taking that mid-tone brown on my lower lash as well. Now with a tapered blending brush, I'm going to go into this deeper plum color, and this will really add depth to the eyes. I'm just going to set it on the outer V and on the lower outer third of my eye. I'm just doing small circular motions. Blending that out with the mid-tone brown. I'm going in with my finger on this shimmery light color, and I'm setting that on my lid, pretty much like 2/3 of my lid. Going with my pinky, I'm going into this glittery lighter shade and putting it on the inner corner of my eye. I would suggest doing lighter colors on the inner corner of your eye just to help catch light in the photos. Now that eyeshadow's done, we're moving on to foundation. I didn't show you, but I am using the Wet n Wild Photofocus foundation. This foundation was made for taking photos, and it's cheap and it has a pretty decent shade range. It's a little on the matte side. I would suggest using a dampened sponge In this video, when I recorded this, I used a dry sponge, and I noticed later that it looked kind of cakey later. This definitely works better with a dampened sponge. So I'm just blending that everywhere. I'm just going straight over the spots where I had the green concealer, and it just counteracted the red. I'm not trying to blend it out or anything. I just straight up put the foundation on top of it, and it makes it pretty much unnoticeable. Blending it down to my neck because this is a little light on me, but I prefer lighter foundations because I'm a goth kid, I'm sorry. Covering up a little bit of that nasty one on my neck as well, that nasty pimple on my neck. Setting that all with RCMA no color powder. This was one you can find online for pretty cheap. I'm using a duo fiber brush here because I have oily skin, but I don't want the skin to look really cakey, so I want a really light layer of powder. So I'm trying to use the tiniest bit of powder with a brush that applies just the tiniest bit, but I do want to set it all around so that I can blend powders on top of it like my bronzer. I'm using Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Pretty sure this is the lightest one. And I'm also mixing it with this more taupey cool toned contour color from the Physicians Formula Bronze Booster set. It's like a set of 3. Lightly contouring the hollows of my cheeks. But again, keep in mind, the lighting will wash out some of the color. So I'm doing a little bit more than I usually would. Next, I'm taking this E.L.F contour brush, just going into mostly the cooler tone contour color, just grabbing a little bit of the bronzer, and I'm going to contour my chin because that is one part that I am very self-conscious of. I went kind of hard on this. I should have blended it out a little bit more, but this is what you get for now. And I'm blending that down the front of the neck. Tried to blend out the sides, but I could have blended it out more. I don't normally contour on the temples because my bangs usually cover it, but you can if you want. For the nose, definitely don't want to use a warm tone like your bronzer. You want to use a cool tone like the contour color, and I'm using a smaller, more dense brush. You could just only do a tiny little bit. If you just do right where your eyebrows connect with your nose bridge, even just the tiniest bit like I'm doing here is enough to help define your nose. But for me, I prefer a little bit more of a nose contour, so I'm just going straight down on my nose and I'm adding more onto like my nostrils, blending that out so it doesn't have any harsh lines. Now, since I put on all this powder, I don't want my face to look all cakey, so I'm going to spray it down with some setting spray. This is the Smashbox Primer Water, fanning that down. Now for highlighter, I'm going into my ColourPop Innuendo highlighter palette. I actually felt like I wanted a little bit more shine to my eyes, so I took a little pencil brush, went into the lightest color highlighter, and put it on the inner corners. Now I'm going in with the fan brush to highlight my cheekbones. Just going in pretty lightly. I didn't want to go too much overkill. In person, this highlighter doesn't look this crazy, but obviously on camera and in photos it looks really, really bright, but I really like that about it. So yeah, do what you want, but I do think a little bit of highlighter would be really cute for a photo shoot. And I'm highlighting down the center of my nose. I went a little too hard with my finger there, so I'm trying to blend that out here with my powder brush. And I'm doing a little bit on my Cupid's bow. Now for eyeliner. I am using a basic black eyeliner. I think black obviously makes your eyes pop out the most, so it'll show really well in the photographs. Here I'm tight lining. To do that, you just kind of look down but tilt your head back, but look down into your mirror so that you can get that area of skin right there. I don't know how to explain it. I prefer tight lining so that you don't see the skin in between your eyeliner and your eyelashes and your eyeball. It kind of bothers me. I always do a cat eye, so I'm using black liquid liner to do it. This is the NYX Epic Ink eyeliner. I really like this one. I'm tight lining on this eye because, yeah, it bothers me if I don't. Now I'm curling my lashes. Darkening your eyelashes really helps in photos because they really help make your eyes pop. If you normally don't wear mascara, I definitely would suggest some mascara. Obviously black mascara helps the most. I'm doing some lower lash mascara also because my lower lashes are non-existent. Now, I do highly suggest falsies. If you're just beginning, I do really suggest these Ardell Wispies. I have like a multi-pack here. The band is very thin, but they're very fluffy looking. So for eyelashes, they're really high impact for how light they are. I'm touching up my eyebrows eyeshadow powder. I literally just took dark brown eyeshadow on a small angled brush. Now lips. I'm just taking the foundation sponge that I used earlier and just kind of covering my lips with foundation. I'm taking this Physicians Formula Healthy Lip Elixir, I think they're called. I just put on a little bit in the center and tap it out with my finger so that I get that fade. Go over it one more time with what's left over on the sponge. And then put on whatever lip gloss you want. I like to put lip gloss on just in the center. Okay, now for the wig. Of course, secure your wig. For this video, I didn't show you putting on the wig too much because I was just putting this on temporarily, but definitely pin down the wig. Make sure all your natural hair is covered up. Make sure it's all brushed out. Flyaways are kind of a pain to edit out, so try to brush it down and hairspray down flyaways as much as you can. And I went ahead and changed into a quick Lolita outfit so you can see. This isn't what I'm going to wear for the photo shoot meetup, but I just wanted to show you how it looked in Lolita. So for touch-ups, when you get to your photo shoot, I definitely suggest bringing some items with you. Definitely bring your lip products, your lipstick, lip gloss, so that you can fix it up once you get there. Definitely bring some lash glue because inevitably a lash always tries to come up in the corners and you don't want your lashes to look jank in the pictures. I would bring some powder, maybe a little compact powder foundation to help touch up any oily spots if you do get oily. And maybe some concealer just in case maybe some of your foundation rubs off or didn't quite cover up a pimple as much as you wanted. So those are my tips for photo shoot makeup. Hopefully there's some things to keep in mind. The whole goal of these tips is so that hopefully at the end there's less editing needing when you do your photos. I feel like people do studio photos and then they go, oh well, where'd all the makeup go? And it's because the lights really drown them out. So keep that in mind, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.